What if I told you there's one verse in the Bible that demons know better than most believers, yet almost no one ever stops to read it twice? A single moment when evil itself trembled and the spiritual world fell silent. Not because of a sword, not because of fire, but because of a name. When Jesus stepped onto the shore, even before he spoke, the darkness panicked. Voices from the unseen world screamed, "What have you to do with us, Son of the Most High God?" They didn't challenge him. They begged. They pleaded not to be sent away before the appointed time. But here's the question few ever ask. What were they really afraid of? The lake of fire? The final judgment? Or was it something far more terrifying, something they saw in his eyes that day? In this story, we'll uncover the greatest fear that demons carry to this very moment. A truth hidden in a verse that almost no one reads carefully. A revelation that not only exposes the terror of the fallen, but reminds us of the unstoppable power of the one who commands them all. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand what they feared, you'll never see spiritual warfare the same way again. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's dive into the revelation. It happened in a place most people avoided, a desolate region filled with tombs and whispers of madness. The man who lived there was no longer a man. He was a vessel of torment, chained by others and then by himself, until even the chains feared to hold him. And then Jesus arrived. No thunder, no dramatic speech, just his presence, calm, absolute, and holy. The air shifted, like creation itself remembered who had spoken it into being. Before the disciples could ask a single question, a voice came from the shadows, not the man's, but the one hiding inside him. "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" Mark 5:7. Imagine that moment. The darkness recognized the light before any human did. The unclean spirit fell to its knees, not out of reverence, but out of uncontrollable fear. Even rebellion knows when it stands before its judge. What terrified them wasn't just his authority, it was his timing. "Have you come to torment us before the appointed time?" Matthew 8:29. That cry reveals a secret the world forgets. Even demons know there is an appointed time. They know their days are numbered, and that the clock of heaven still ticks toward their eternal end. And in the face of that certainty, every evil loses its courage. But there's something even deeper here, something we rarely consider. These beings once walked in glory, clothed in light, serving near the throne. They remember him. They remember his voice when it was the voice of their Creator. So when they saw him again, in flesh and blood, the memory of heaven collided with the reality of their rebellion. That recognition was agony. Their fear wasn't just of punishment, it was of remembrance. Every encounter between Jesus and the demonic world exposes the same truth. Authority doesn't need volume. He didn't argue, he didn't explain. He simply was, and that was enough to break the silence of hell. And yet, their plea hints at something greater, a countdown they dread, a day they cannot escape. What is this appointed time they spoke of? What moment do even demons wish would never come? The demons' words, "before the appointed time," echo like thunder across the centuries. They weren't random. They revealed knowledge that most humans still overlook. There is a divine timeline set by God himself that even hell cannot rewrite. That time refers to the day of judgment, the moment when the Son of Man will command every fallen being to face their final sentence. And the terrifying part for them, they know exactly what awaits. They've seen the glimpse of the abyss, and they know that Jesus holds the key. When Jesus walked the earth, he didn't come to destroy the demons immediately. His mission wasn't to end the war in that moment, but to win it forever through the cross. Yet even before the crucifixion, every encounter was a prophecy, a preview of their defeat. The demons saw the same authority that would one day cast them into everlasting chains, and that's why they screamed, "Have you come before the time?" They weren't questioning his power, they were pleading for delay. You see, demons understand divine order better than most of us do. They know that nothing in heaven happens by accident. God's plan unfolds with precision, not 1 second too soon, not 1 moment too late. And that's what terrifies them. They cannot stop the countdown. Every miracle Jesus performed, every word he spoke, every prophecy fulfilled, it all moved history closer to that final confrontation. To them, each breath of Christ was another tick of the clock toward eternal darkness. But their fear wasn't just about judgment, it was about separation. The abyss isn't merely a place of pain, it's the place of absence. No light, no sound, no trace of the presence they once knew. Imagine once dwelling near divine glory, only to be cast into silence that never ends. That's what they fear most, being forgotten by the very Creator whose light once filled them with purpose. And so they begged Jesus not to send them out of the region, clinging to the few shadows they still controlled. But Jesus didn't negotiate. He allowed them to go into a herd of swine, not out of mercy, but as a sign. Even animals couldn't bear their presence, plunging into the sea. A glimpse of what's coming. Yet there's something they know that most ignore. Something beyond hellfire and torment. Something more dreadful than pain itself. What is that ultimate fear they carry within them? Hell isn't their greatest fear. Fire doesn't terrify those who have already burned in rebellion. What truly haunts them is erasure, the thought of being forgotten for all eternity. These beings once stood among the stars of heaven, radiant, known by name, each one created with a purpose. But rebellion stripped them of identity. Every time they faced Jesus, they're reminded not just of his power, but of what they lost. The memory of glory turned into the nightmare of obscurity. Eternal punishment is dreadful, but eternal insignificance is worse. The lake of fire isn't just a prison, it's the place where existence fades without meaning. In Matthew 25:41, Jesus spoke of everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Prepared, not by accident, not by vengeance, but by justice. And in that justice lies a mystery. Hell is not only torment, it's removal. To be cut off from all light, all memory, all purpose. The demons know that's their end, a silence that swallows names. When they looked at Jesus, they saw the one thing they can never regain, the image of God reflected perfectly in man. Humanity carries what they forfeited, the capacity to love, to repent, to be restored. For demons, there's no redemption left. No second chance, no grace awaiting them. And so their hatred for mankind is not born of power, but of envy. We have what they cannot, the ability to be remembered by heaven. That's why they tremble. Because Jesus doesn't just command legions, he holds the authority to erase them completely, not destroy their energy or their consciousness, but to confine them in such darkness that even remembrance fades. For them, the thought of no one speaking their name again, of no one recalling their rebellion, is the death beyond death. The fire consumes, but forgetfulness erases. Every cry they utter, every time they resist his will, is not only rebellion, it's desperation. They fight not to win, but to exist. They know their time runs short, their influence fading like smoke in wind. And yet, hidden within their fear lies a verse, one that captures this truth so plainly that most overlook it, a verse that exposes what even hell acknowledges, but the world rarely reads. It's hidden in plain sight, a verse so brief that most believers read past it without a second thought. Luke 8:28 records a cry that pierced both the physical and spiritual worlds. When he saw Jesus, he cried out, fell down before him, and said with a loud voice, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." That cry wasn't confusion, it was recognition. It was fear speaking through the lips of a broken man, but it came from a voice far older than humanity itself. In that moment, theology became reality. The demons didn't deny who Jesus was, they declared it. Before men even realized the fullness of his identity, hell already confessed it aloud. The fallen world knew exactly who stood before them, the rightful king. But what they didn't expect was his silence. Jesus didn't argue, he didn't need to. The truth was self-evident in his presence, and that terrified them more than words ever could. This single verse shatters one of the greatest misconceptions about evil, that it opposes God because it doubts him. No, demons don't doubt, they believe, and that belief is their torment. As James 2:19 says, "You believe that there is one God, you do well." Even the demons believe and tremble. Their fear isn't rooted in disbelief, but in knowledge, the kind of knowledge that cannot be unlearned. They know his holiness is real, his authority is eternal, and his judgment is inevitable. And yet hidden in this confession lies something few notice. The demons begged not to be tormented, not yet. They were asking for time, not mercy. There's a difference. They weren't seeking forgiveness because they knew none would be given. They only sought delay. Their plea was a desperate attempt to avoid the inevitable. They knew the moment Jesus chose to speak that final word, their existence would be sealed forever. That's the tragedy and terror of this verse. Even hell acknowledges what some hearts on earth still deny. Every fallen spirit knows that one day every knee will bow and every tongue confess. But before that day arrives, one question remains. Why didn't Jesus destroy them right then? Why did he allow them to speak, to flee, to continue for a time? The answer lies in something even more haunting than judgment itself: the power of divine silence. Jesus didn't shout. He didn't debate with the demons, nor did he raise his voice to prove authority. He simply spoke a command, and the darkness obeyed. His power didn't come from volume, it came from being. His very existence was the verdict. The silence that followed was heavier than thunder, because it revealed a truth that every fallen being already knew. The war was over before it began. When Jesus said, "Go," the legions fled instantly. Matthew 8:32. No negotiation, no struggle. That single word carried all the weight of heaven's authority. Imagine the scene: the possessed man collapsing to the ground, gasping as freedom rushed back into his body, while nearby the herd of swine, the temporary refuge of evil, plunged violently into the sea. Nature itself testified that creation will not coexist with corruption. Even the waves seemed to echo the finality of that word, "Go." To human eyes, it looked like a small miracle on a distant shore. But in the unseen realm, it was a declaration. The kingdom of darkness had just witnessed a glimpse of its own end. The Son of God had demonstrated with a single sentence that no rebellion could stand before divine authority. What terrified them wasn't just his command, it was his calm. The demons knew what that calm meant. He had nothing to prove. He already reigned, and that silence, that terrifying stillness after his words, was their defeat. For the fallen, it was the sound of inevitability. Every time Jesus cast out a spirit, it wasn't merely an exorcism. It was a rehearsal of the final judgment. Each command was a reminder that the day is coming when his voice will not just cast them out, it will end them. They dread that day more than anything, because once it arrives, there will be no more pleading, no more delay, only eternal silence. Yet for us, that same silence means peace. The same authority that terrifies demons restores hearts. The same word that expelled darkness from a man's life can still free ours today. But the question remains, if even demons fear and obey that name, what should that name mean to those who are saved by it? What happens when humanity finally understands the power that the unseen world already recognizes? The demon's greatest fear was never the flames. It was his presence. One glance from Jesus reminded them of everything they lost: light, glory, purpose, and home. They knew that standing before him meant facing not just power, but truth. The truth that no darkness can endure the presence of pure holiness. That's why they begged for delay. That's why they trembled, because even silence when it came from him was a sentence they couldn't escape. But for us, that same silence speaks peace. The same name that made legions flee is the name that still sets captives free. The authority that once commanded the storm and the spirits is the same authority that can calm your heart. Every time you whisper, "Jesus," you're not calling a distant figure. You're invoking the King, whom even hell fears to confront. The story of that verse isn't about terror, it's about victory. It reminds us that no power of darkness can stand before the Word made flesh. The demons trembled because they remembered him. We worship because we know him, and that makes all the difference between fear and faith. So now, let me ask you, if even demons kneel before his name, what keeps us from doing the same? What would happen if we lived every day as if that same power walked beside us, because it does? If this truth spoke to your heart, don't leave without acting on it. Subscribe, like this video, and let your voice be part of the light that still declares his victory. May God bless you, and may his peace silence every shadow in your life.